Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. In today's video, I am featuring a new to me small card making business called Time for Tea Designs. This is a UK based business, so for my UK subscribers, I am going to be sure to link directly to their shop. But for my US subscribers, they are also sold at Simon Says Stamp. They've invited me to be part of their blog hop today to introduce all of you to their adorable designs. So let's take a quick look at the products and then jump right into making a few cards. Today I'm going to be using this stamp set called Paper Plane Pals. This is an adorable stamp set with 3 little critters, paper planes that they can fly in, some clouds, and sentiments. The matching dies include some dies for the sentiments as well, so everything can be cut out. I'm also going to be using the Sun Ray cover die. This is slightly larger than an A2 die, and I'm going to use it both ways as is and cut down to an A2. And this is the Street Scene Builder Stencil, and you can see that we can create buildings, windows on those buildings, and a street as well. So I'm going to start out with the Paper Plane Pals stamps, and I'm basically going to stamp every single thing out in the stamp set, and I am using Copic friendly ink. I realized after I put them all in the MISTI that I wanted to season them first. So what I'm going to do, instead of using embossing ink, since I already inked them up, I'm going to stamp them 2 to 3 times on some copy paper, some just scratch paper from my printer, and I'm just inking them up and stamping them over and over again until I can get a good impression. When I'm ready to stamp them on the Copic friendly paper, I'm going to use my Debby tool to make sure I get a good impression from the first time. So between seasoning them with the couple of different images that I stamped out on the copy paper and then using the Debby tool, I got this image the first time I stamped them out, and I was very happy with it. With the Sunray cover die, I did cut out 2 of them out of 110-pound cardstock, and now I'm going to trim them down to the 5.5 that is the traditional US A2 sized card. So I can put them on an A2 white cardstock background. For the rays that I cut out, I'm going to basically cover each of them with a different color of Distress Oxide ink. I am mainly using the domed foam blenders here, and I'm using a mix of colors in a rainbow of colors. So I have picked raspberry, then Kitsch Flamingo, then spiced marmalade. I'm going to use squeezed lemonade for the yellow and cracked pistachio for the green. And then I'm going to use my new favorite salvaged patina for the blue, because these are the lighter colors that I'm using for the rainbow today instead of brights or darks. And then the last color I am going to include is the shaded lilac, and that will complete the rainbow of rays on my card. So there's that shaded lilac and just a really pretty bunch of colors that are going to look nice on this white background. So I had doubled up the panel of the sun rays, and then I have these kind of wells that I can just put the rays into. So I put a little liquid glue down in the wells and then just popped the rays in there. And I just like the dimension of the white with the colors kind of set down into the card. I am going to do some very basic Copic coloring on these little critters. I did add a little bit of dots of a neutral gray on the panda just so that it doesn't look too stark white, and then I'm coloring in the little scarf with the lightest on the edge of the scarf blowing in the breeze because I felt like that would be in the light. I'm going to have 2 pandas on this card, so the other one I'm doing in a range of pinks, and I did add some little pink cheeks as well to the coloring. And then I'm going to color in 2 of these large airplanes. So when you see them cut out, you'll see why I have 2, one for each of them, and why the critters don't have or need bodies for this stamp set. So I'm gonna again use the same colors that I used for the scarves on the 2 different airplanes, and I'm doing the darkest on the tip of the plane, the lightest on the back end there. For the clouds, I'm just going to make some curly cues in a light blue and a light gray just to again, make them not look stark white. I'm going to hold them in place with tape and then run them through my die cut machine. So you can see that the die actually cuts out a little slit in the center of the plane, and you can just put the little face and the bottom of the body just resting inside that little slit. I'm going to pop this up, so I'm putting a piece of foam tape over the bit of the panda that is stuck into the plane and the plane itself. That will hold the panda and the plane together and pop them up. So you get it kind of 2 for 1 out of one piece of little foam tape there. I'm going to do the same exact thing with the other panda. This way they are both stealing the show as far as being the first thing that you see. So I'm going to stamp this sentiment directly onto that white sun there because I feel like it's the perfect place to have the sentiment, and I don't need to die cut it out since it's going to sit right there on that white cardstock. I did also die cut those clouds, and I am going to pop them up on a little bit of foam tape as well. These little critters are so cute. The planes are so fun to make, and the card with the sun rays was, of course, my favorite because of the rainbow. With the second one, though, I am going to create a shaker. So I have some Memory Box glitter cardstock in yellow. I thought that would be great for those sun rays. Some really pretty glitter yellow cardstock. And I'm going to, again, keep this to the size that the die is. So it will be a little bit bigger than an A2 card. Since I'm cutting through that thick glitter paper, I did use my metal shim. I also die cut 2 pieces of white fun foam in the same exact die so that I could create that shaker window. I'm going to adhere the glitter panel that we cut out to an A2 piece of acetate, and it does not need to be any bigger than A2 even though the panel is slightly larger. So next I am going to adhere the 2 pieces of fun foam down to some blue cardstock. And I'm using liquid glue so that I can make sure that I have lines all around the openings of those sun rays. So you can see here how the fun foam is a little bit longer on one side and a little bit shorter on the other side. So I think the panel die is about a little less than 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. So you just need to trim things down if you are working with A2 stuff to begin with. I'm going to put my shaker goodies inside those openings there. This is a really easy way to create a shaker. The whole panel is basically the shaker that we've cut out of fun foam twice, glued together, and then we just get to add those shaker goodies inside, just pour them right into the little wells there. And then we have to do the same thing, liquid glue around all the edges just to keep all those shaker goodies stuck inside. We don't want any of them coming out. So really make sure all those lines connect together and don't let any of those little tiny confettis come out. And I love this bright background between the iridescent shakers, the glitter sun, and that blue background. Okay, for this one, I am going to use a little cat and I'm going to color him in kind of like an orange marmalade cat look. So I used the lighter color to just color in the whole cat, and then I'm using the darker color to put teeny tiny little flicks of color just to look like teeny tiny little fur or hairs all over the cat. And then I'm just going to do the basic coloring that I did with the scarf as well. So you can see you don't have to do any extra coloring. You can just color them in. They're super cute images on their own, so it doesn't have to be lots of shading and blending. It's just fun to add a little bit of texture to them as well. I'm going to do the same type of thing with this airplane using BG01 and BG02, and I think this one may be starting to dry out, so I may need a little bit more refill there. I'm going to stamp the sentiment, "The sky's the limit," on the same blue cardstock that I used for the background, and then die cut it out. I also die cut out with that matching die a piece of fun foam so that I could pop up this sentiment without having to mess with teeny tiny little strips of foam tape. So this is a favorite way for me to pop up tiny little die cuts like that. Otherwise, for these larger die cuts, and especially to keep the little cat inside the plane, I do like to use a piece of foam tape. Just very easy to just tear it off and then I can place it down. Now the Thermoweb foam roll tape that I am using is very sticky, so it works on glitter cardstock no problem. So you can pop it up right on some of the rays there. But for this little foam piece that I used for the sentiment, I am going to use liquid glue behind it so that it sticks to that glitter cardstock, because glitter cardstock really likes to resist things like tape runner and things like that. You need a nice strong adhesive, but the foam roll is strong enough, it will work. And you know I can't resist a shaker, but with that cute little face in the plane, it's even better. So for the last card, I am going to use the stencil. I'm creating a panel which is A2 of 3 different colors of Distress Oxide ink. I have Blueprint Sketch, which is my lightest, and I covered the whole panel with that. Then I'm using Prize Ribbon, and I went from about a third of the way up all the way to the top, and then chipped sapphire at the very tippy top, the last third of the panel. I'm going to insert the panel into the stencil like this so that you can see the openings of the house. And I'm going to hold it in place while I add Black Soot Distress Oxide on top. And that's going to create a silhouette of the skyline. I think this is an absolute brilliant stencil design because you can do that and then you can use it as a mask. So I insert it into the stencil again, but this time with the stencil on top, so I can use some Dina Wakley gloss spray in white to create some stars in the background of the sky. So once the houses have been covered up by the mask of the stencil, I can tap the paintbrush, which has that gloss media spray on it, onto the background, and I won't get any stars on my houses, which would be a bummer after all that blending fun and work. So this is what we have now. The last thing I'm going to do is take that middle piece of the stencil, which has the windows and the doors, and I'm going to use some neon glitz in yellow and a spatula just to scoop it out and put a little bit on so it looks like the houses have light from within, so they are glowing, the windows are glowing, and kind of the openings of the houses are glowing. And this dries pretty quickly, especially because I did not use too thick. So again, here is the little paper plane that's been cut out. It has that slit for the animal. I'm going to stamp the sentiment directly on the panel this time. So I'm using some anti-static powder on the panel first and wiping the excess away. And then I stamped it in embossing ink and added some white embossing powder on top because it really pops on that night sky background. Then I'm just going to heat set that, and it says, "Let your dreams take flight." I think that is so perfect for a nighttime sky. I did the same thing with the little piece of foam tape holding the little bunny into the airplane, and then it also works to pop up the bunny and the plane off the background of the card. I did pop up some clouds as well, but this is just such a fun little stamp set with all those little critters and such sweet sentiments as well. You all know how much I love supporting small card making businesses. So if you liked the designs you saw today, be sure to head to Simon Says Stamp and grab them there. If they're out of stock, please sign up for the notification so that Simon Says knows how much we all love Time for Tea designs. If you like when I share small card making businesses that you've never seen before, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified every time I have a new video available. As always, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, now let's just do that again. This day has literally been the most disruptive filming day I think I've ever had. There's no cooing as of yet. Of you to them. Just whack the lamp. These little